Hi, in this video we're going to take a look at BetMix Angler. You get to Angler by clicking on the Tools menu and then clicking on the Angler icon right here. It'll open up this page. An angle is a situation. It's a positive situation, or that's what you're hoping for. So you're looking for some kind of angle that's going to help you win races or identify the percentage chances of a particular horse winning, or what's the likelihood of something happening. So with Angler you can basically you're asking a question, you're describing a situation, and then you want the computer to come back and tell you, well, based on all of the similar situations in our database, this is how often it's occurred, how how often horses that match those particular search criteria win, what the ROI is, on and on and on. It's really a data mining tool that we've developed that I think is going to be tremendously helpful when you're handicapping. So let's just kind of take a look at the screen to start off with, and you'll notice here that there are a couple of different accordion menu type drop down things. And the first thing is the race conditions. This is where you're going to describe the kind of race you're looking for in terms of the date range, what kind of what track you're looking for, the surface, etc., etc. The finish and odds, you're talking about where horses finished, either in their last race or the current race, or how many lengths behind they were, what the win payoff was, the odds of the horse when they went off, what were their off odds in the last race, their morning line odds, all those kind of things. Were they the favorite? Were they not the favorite? And then you've got the horse and the connections here. You're kind of drilling down here into some more information about the horse. How many days since last ran, its age, who the trainer was, the jockey, the owner. Were there any patterns in play here? Did it have a bullet workout? You can get into the running lines and really get extremely detailed on the kind of horse you're looking for there. And then really the biggest advantage of anglers down here in the factors section. So you can click on this expand factors button, and this is where you start telling it to look for horses that were ranked in a specific spot for a particular factor. So if you're looking at like this speed rating, let me zoom in here and try to. So if you wanted to say horses that were ranked second in average best two of last three speed, you can set those two sliders exactly on second. So you see the minimum is second, and the maximum is second. If you want them to be exactly first, you'd set it to minimum first, maximum first. And then a lot of times you're going to be looking at ranges. So you want to say between the minimum ranking is first, the maximum is fifth. So they have to be ranked between first and fifth in best two of last three. Now, if there were 5 horses in a race, that would cover them all. If there were 10 horses, that would cover the top 5. But you get the idea here. This you can cycle through and just look at speed factors or pace factors, earnings, etc., and put in the particular rankings that you want to see there. The expand advantages button. This is a little bit different than where they're ranked. This is an advantage is if you're a horse and you're ranked first in speed last race, then you have some sort of an advantage over the second ranked horse. So if your speed rating was 100 and the second ranked horse was 95, then you have a 5-point advantage. If you're not ranked first, you don't have any advantage. So this is when you're looking for the advantages here, you're only talking about horses that are ranked first. So if you wanted to say in last late pace, the advantage has to be at least 5. So that would mean the horse has to be ranked first, obviously, and that his advantage over the second ranked horse is between 5 and 100. So a minimum of 5. So let's just do some real basic query here and show you how this works. So the first thing you want to do is select a date range. You can go back pretty far, but just for testing purposes here, we will say let's go back to the beginning of July. And here's another thing to keep in mind. Today is July 28th. So I don't want to include today's races in the search because they're not going to have results, and so that'll skew kind of the results over here. I do want to look at today's races when I found an angle that I want to apply to today. But since I'm looking at things that have already occurred, I want to put the date range to the day before yesterday. And you can set this range to whatever you want. But let's just look at the month of July so far. Here you can select the track filter, and this is by default you're looking at all tracks, but you could say specifically, I just want to look at Saratoga or whatever. But so we'll leave that on all. The last track filter, this is looking at where the horses ran their last race. So this is the kind of thing you might want to use when you would set this to, if I want to see how horses are running at Saratoga. So the track filter is going to be Saratoga, and if I chose a last track filter option here, let's say Aqueduct. So now, and each time I add one of these, you'll see it pop up over here, and we'll say, you can just select the surface, and we'll say dirt. So right now, this is a very simple query. It's just saying this month, horses that are running at Saratoga, and their last race was at Aqueduct. How did they do? So when you want to run the query, you just click Start Search. So this is a simple query here that says, all right, we found this month 189 horses that ran at Saratoga, and their last race was at Aqueduct. And so just in general, you're seeing here that the win percentage of those is 12%, and then the show percentage is 38%. But that's a pretty broad query. That doesn't tell you a whole lot. Let me clear that. And to clear all these things off, you can do it a couple of ways. You can click on one of these little search icons down here that tells you what you've added, and you can just click it and it'll disappear, or you can click the clear all button and everything goes away and you're back to today. So we'll set this again back to July 1st through July 27th, and now we'll search on, we'll say we want to look at dirt races, and we'll say on the current class. So by default, again, these are all checked, so it's looking at all races, all race types, but we'll say just claiming races, and we want the distance to be 6 furlongs. So now we've got date, the surface is dirt, the distance must be exactly 6 furlongs, and the class down here is claiming. In a lot of things in Angler, you'll notice that there's a last and a current, and so we're looking for current races of claiming. Now you can come over here and you could change this, and you could say I want to see horses that their last race was in an allowance race, and then they're moving into claiming race, or a graded stakes into an allowance race, or moving up from maiden to claiming, or maiden to allowance. So this kind of gives you a way to search on what they've done in their previous race. So there's if you click on the Angler Help, I'll pop that up real quick. This is going to show you a lot more detailed information. So that's a good place to start when you're trying to decide what to use and what all these things mean. So if you go through the race conditions we've described in the help, what each of these means, and you're probably going to have certainly some more questions along the way, and that's fine. We expect that there will be a lot of questions, but start kind of reading through this, and you will get a better idea of what you can use. And this is the kind of thing that as you play with it, you'll kind of get familiar with it and start coming up with pretty interesting searches. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, and we fully expect them, bring it on. We're ready to help. So again, we'll start over here. We'll say dirt, claiming. Let me clear all. So I'm going to go back to the first, 27th, dirt, and claiming, and let's see what we get. So we're going to click that button, and so now we've got a very limited query here. It's bringing back everything. It's bringing back 8,946 horses that ran in claiming races this month. Now that's that doesn't tell you anything at all. So you need to add more conditions here. We'll go back. We'll say the 27th, dirt, claiming, And now we want to describe those horses a little bit better. Let's say we want to know that they're how horses did whose last finish was exactly second in these dirt 6 furlong claiming races. So now you can see that this criteria has been added over here. So we've got a date range, a surface type, a class type. I don't think I put exactly 6 furlongs in there. So 6 furlong dirt claiming races, horses that ran second last time out. Now click the search button. Now you can see that there's been 336 horses this month in 6 furlong dirt claiming races who ran second in their last race. And so this tells you that, well, 22% of the time those horses win, 56% of the time they show. Their average finish position was 3.46. Their average odds that they went off at was 5.35. When they won, on average, they were 2.65 to 1. Now down here, it breaks it down by track. So if you wanted to sort this over here by the win, you can see that at Evangeline Downs, that was the best ROI playing those type of horses, and all the way down here at the bottom, Mountaineer was the worst place to play those kind of horses that finished second last time out. So again, this is a pretty basic general query. Now to refine this, you could say, all right, let me click this Analyze button. Now it's going to go look at all those 336 horses and give you some more information about what they did. So since we have as one of our search criteria exactly 6 furlongs, then we know that the computers come back and said, well, every one of these horses is running in a 6 furlong dirt race, and we've chosen dirt and we've chosen claiming. So this shows you, that those are, all of them match those particular settings. Now, of all these horses, you can go down and you start seeing this bar charts for each one of these factors, and this only becomes useful when you start really digging down and analyzing the results. So if we go over here and we see, all right, well, there were 336 horses that were found and 76 of them won. Well, let's just look at the horses that were the winners in that race. So how do you do that? So you come over here and you say, right now it's looking at all horses regardless of where they finished. So we would set this current finish position to first. And the reason we're setting that to first, this current finish position to first, is because we want to focus on only these 76 horses that won. So now when I click this Start Search button, the results are going to say, all right, all of these conditions plus only the horses that actually won the race. So we're going to start the search, and now you can see that it found 76 horses because that's how many of them won. And well, that'd be great if you knew exactly the criteria that predicted all 76 winners in these 6 furlong dirt claiming races. So to help you narrow that down, again, now you can click the Analyze button and you can start getting a little bit more detail on the type of factor rankings that these horses had. So now you can say, well, of all those horses that won, 32 of those 76 horses ranked first in average speed last 3. So they ranked first in that. Down here, only one of them ranked 8th. 4 of them were 7th. So it's a pretty good bet now that you need to be in the top 3 in average speed last 3. So we could come down here and expand our factors, go to the speed, and average speed last 3. We'll change that to rank between first and third. And we're doing that because we know that that's where most of these horses fell. And now we'll click Start Search, and it will show us those 58 horses. Now if we go back here and we'll take off our current finish, so now we're looking at all horses again, but now we've added in that other criteria, and so our win percentage goes up a little bit, 25.2. Again, you come back here and you say, well, now let me look at those 58 winners in a little bit more detail. So I'll set that back to finish must be exactly first. I'll start the search again. We've got those 58. Now let's find another thing that you may want to add in here. So you can see now that average speed last 3, all of them fall on the top 3 ranks because that's one of the conditions we've added. Looks like last E2 pace, horses beaten, trainer current year. We'll set that to first or second. See what see how that changes. So right now we're saying we'll go back to including all horses. So we have 230 of them with 25% win rate, and we'll look at the factors over here. We'll change trainer to, I think I forgot what that was. Trainer current meet. We'll try that first and second. Start search. Yep. And so now you can see that by adding that in, now we found 79 horses that meet these conditions, and now we've got a positive ROI and a pretty high win percentage of 36.7%. So what we have here is the date range. We have the surface is dirt, distance must be exactly 6 furlongs. The current class is it says custom, but that means we're looking at claiming races here. Their last finish must be exactly second. They have to be between first and third, and average speed last 3. And the trainer current meet has to be between first and second. So they've got the first or second best trainer. They're one of the top 3 horses in average speed. They finished second last time out, and they're in a dirt claiming race. And so if you find horses like that, you will know that this month of July, about 36.7% of them win, and you've got a positive little ROI here. Now, and you could even go down here, and you could limit it by track and start saying that's a great place to start is at Thistledowns in Delaware, Gulfstream, Finger Lakes, Louisiana Downs, and focus on those kind of horses. Now down here at the bottom of the screen, you see all of these horses. So every horse, the 79 horses that we found in our query, are displayed down here on the screen, and it shows you you can sort all this by date. So the most recent one was yesterday at Finger Lakes. It was a claim. They're all going to be 6 furlong dirt claiming races, and it tells you the name of the horse, who the trainer was, who the jockey was. Morning line odds of the horse was 4.5 to 1. His actual off odds, no surprise at Finger Lakes, these horses tend to get bet pretty hard. Yeah, he went off at a little bit better than even money. He won and paid $4. Place was $2.60. His finish was 1, and so you can see where all of this kind of stuff comes in here. Now, what's pretty neat down here, you can change the information that you see. So you go to the columns, and by default you have all this stuff here. But if you wanted to add a different column, and let's say you wanted to add best lifetime speed rank, I would just drag that over here, and I'll plop it in by the horse name. So best lifetime speed rank. And I'll close the window. I'll hit the search button again, and now you can see that the best lifetime speed rank is now shown by each horse. So you can add as many columns in here as you want, or as few as you want, and this can help you when you go back and analyze this query that you just ran. You can sort by that. Now you can start looking, well, there was 79 horses here, and as I scroll down, I see quite a few of them were ranked first, second, third, etc. And down here at the bottom you only have one that was ranked 9th. Then you can come up here and sort it by what the win payoff was. So you can see that the highest winner paid $13, and down here the shortest price horse was $2.80. So all this information down here can be customized by clicking the select columns. You can remove stuff by dragging it over, and add it by dragging it here. So the columns to show, and then the columns not shown. And the different categories up here give you all sorts of options. There's literally hundreds of things you can add or remove in your display. Okay, so now you have this little angle that you found that's pretty good, and you can click this save angle button, and you can call it whatever you want. Last race second, 6 furlong dirt claim races. You can save it, and then you could click it. You'd find it over here, and you could apply it. So anytime you find an angle, the goal here is to find the good ones, save them, and then apply them to today's races. So how do you apply this to today's races? Well, it's real easy. Right now we have a date range of July 1st through July 27th. If I click this and remove it, it's going to say, all right, now just look at today. So these same conditions that we just found, but let's find a horse that's running today. So I'll click this again, and now you can see up here in the results box it says, well, there are 3 horses that are running. All of these are blank. The win percentages and the returns are blank because we don't know the results yet. This is we're running this query on Thursday morning, and these races are yet to run. So we know that we have 3 horses today that met these conditions for this angle, and all you have to do is scroll down here to see who they are. You can see you got 2 of them at Delamar and 1 at Louisiana Downs. So if you wanted to bet those horses, you can, if you click on one of the in any item that you see in the results box, if you click on it, then that race will open up in Bird Dog in a new tab. So I clicked on that. Now it's here in Bird Dog. So that was Prohibition Repeal, and we can see that horse here. So based on our search criteria, we know that that horse finished second last time out, and that you can see that it did right here. And the other conditions were that average speed last 3, it was ranked between first and third, and trainer current meet, it's ranked between first and second. So if I click over here on the speed, average speed last 3, I see that he was ranked first, and then trainer current meet, he's tied for second. So that's an interesting. Ties are going to count too. So if there's 4 horses that are ranked second in something because they're tied, then each one of them is going to qualify. So if you wanted to play that horse today, there you go. That's how you use this. You have three horses here that meet the conditions, and if we go ahead and change, I forget what those percentages were, but we'll change it back and run it. We have based on this month alone, you have a 36.7% chance of that horse winning. Now you can change this. It's been a good angle for this month. How's it done for this entire year? Let's just go up here and change this date. Take it all the way back to January 1st. Now we're going to get a lot more results, and our results may look a lot different here. So we went from 36% winners down to 30% winners, and our ROI is now negative. And that's because we're looking at 522 races now. And again, you can sort this by track, and you could limit this to Churchill Downs and Gulfstream Park. So let's just try this to kind of give you an example of how this works. So now we're going to change our track filter to just Gulfstream Park. So now we're looking at just Gulfstream Park. You can see that down here. And for the entire year, that's been a really good angle there. 45% winners. There's only been 20 horses over the entire year that meet these exact criteria. Let's take it back even further. Let's go back to 2015 and see if it holds up over 2 years. Up, then it went negative. You got 30% winners. It only found 50. Let's take it back to 2014. Found 89 horses. ROI is going up a little bit here. So it's still this is a really good angle at Gulfstream, even though this is negative. You're looking at 37% winners, 89 horses since 2014 have met this criteria. Now again, you could analyze this, and let's try to refine it. We've got 89 horses found, 33 of them won. Let's go back here and again just focus on the horses that did win and start the search. We should get 33, and we'll analyze it. And you can start looking at this and try to find some things that might give you a higher percentage. So this looks pretty good. In the money percent, ranked first or second is 24 of them. So we'll change our filter here and add that as a condition. So we'll go to form. In the money percent must be ranked first or second. Now that should be you'll see that over here. We'll change our finish back to include all horses, and we'll start it. Okay, so now it's up to 46.2%, and now it's positive by adding in that other condition. And you get the idea here. You're going to keep adding conditions, until you get a positive result. So not a bad angle to play at Gulfstream Park. You're not going to over since 2014 you've only found 52 of those type horses, but when you do find them, you need to pay a lot of attention to them. Almost a 50% chance of winning, 75% chance of hitting the board. So you could expand this or even refine it further to get a higher win percentage. And the goal here is you want to build up a lot of these angles. You want to have several dozen of them, and then apply them and look for these situations that are going to be very profitable for you. And we're going to be doing a lot more work on Angler. This is going to be the basis for almost everything we do going forward, and we're going to automate a lot of this stuff. We're going to make it much easier. We're going to have some built-in angles. All the angles that you find and save, we're going to make it real easy for you to apply them to every race that you're looking at, so you don't have to go and run them one by one, but it'll give you a report. We're going to do a lot of stuff on notifications for you. So let's say you built this angle, and you don't want to have to come in every day and check to see if there's this particular horse running at Gulfstream. But if there is one, we're going to let you know via email or text message or however you want to know that, hey, one of your angles has popped up today at Gulfstream Park. It's a 46.2% win percentage and a positive ROI, or whatever the stats may be. We're going to build some things that help you discover or notify you when your angles are in play. So that's in a nutshell, one way that you would use Angler. You would use it to find a specific situation and determine the percentages there, and there are almost an infinite number of things you can do here. Another really interesting way to use Angler. Let's say you're handicapping today, Saratoga, and the sixth race is a mile on the turf. So you would come back to Angler. You clear all that out. Let's say we want to go back to 2014 at Saratoga, and this was turf. Was this 1 mile turf allowance race? So we'll come over here and say 1 mile turf, and it's an allowance race, and see what we're dealing with here. There's 342 horses in 1 mile turf allowance races in that date range. And if we're looking at a specific horse, well, in general, you could build the criteria to match the horse you're handicapping. But just looking at the screen here, I see that there's only 2 horses that are dropping in class. So let's just check that, and we could say when we're looking at these horses, and the class difference here, these are negative. These are dropping in class, so they're negative. So you can go over here. Horses dropping in class are negative. This one's negative 3.02. This one's negative 0.2. So let's just say you had to be dropping in class, or the same class. So the minimum is 0 to negative 20. So now we're going to run that. And horses that are dropping in class, there's been 150 of them, and only 9.3% win. So when I look over here, I say that's really not that big of a deal. That's not something that's going to put me on one of those 2 horses. I could say, well, how do horses that are speed last race is 100, that they've got the best speed last race? I'm going to take off that class difference just by unchecking it here or clicking on it, and I go to expand factors, and I'll click on speed, and I'll say speed last race is exactly first. How do those horses do? Oh, that's a 14% win rate, but a very positive ROI. You have some winners that go off at odds of, on average they're going off at about 7 to 1. So you go over here and you look at these 2 horses, and I see that one of them's morning line is 7 to 2. This one's 20 to 1, and it's the fastest horse last race, and that's been a pretty good angle in these types of races at Saratoga. So that's another way you can look at. You can use Angler. You can go in and start putting in specific things for specific horses in a race you're looking at. There's again infinite things you can do here. So let's say last E1 pace. This is the best factor here. Last E1 pace. So if I went back here, I'll take off the speed last race, and let me put in last E1 pace. make that first. Wow. So horses that are ranked first in last E1 pace, positive win, place, and show at this for this race type at Saratoga. So let's go find this horse, last E1 pace, ranked first is number 4. What else is he ranked first in? Or look at all factors. That's it. How about, I know there's some kind of speed factor or trainer factor or something we can add with it. Let's say he won its last race. Let's try that. We'll say last we'll add last finish position. Yeah, last finish position was first. So they won their last race, and they were also ranked first in last E1 pace. Actually drops. So horses that won last time out and had the best last E1 pace becomes a negative proposition here. So maybe that changes your opinion of that horse a lot. We'll clear this off. You can do some really neat stuff here when you start looking at. Let's look at. Let's say he was leading for 3 and then came in and then actually finished second. So at the first call, first. The second call, first. Third call, first, and then actually finished second. So you can see all of those. Last first call was first, last second call was first, last third call was first, and their finish was second. How many times did that happen? And it happened 7 times, and those horses won at 28% with an $11 ROI. So that's pretty specific. So they had, actual call were running lines were first, and second. You can even add the lengths in here, which is getting into a lot of detail. But the idea behind using that is you can start looking at horses that showed early speed, that were first, and then faded. And this one didn't fade a whole lot, but you get the picture there. You can add that in as some of your conditions. And this allows you to go not only to the last race, but the race before it. So you can build very specific running line models and test those out. Very, very informative stuff. Okay, so that's a lot of the horse information here. There's some other stuff at the bottom. The horses and sires. You can look up a specific horse. Let's try this one, end play. So we go over here and you just type in the horse's name, end play, hit search. It is going to tell you it found that horse. And so now you'll see it pop over here. The horse's name is end play. And you could pull back for 2 years and just run end play and see how he did. And this is some of the stuff you're seeing right now in the angler analysis in Bird Dog, is pulling a lot of this stuff back from Angler and showing it to you. But this allows you to do a little bit more over here. So if you look at this and you say, oh, this horse, positive place, positive show, and over 7 races, and when I go over here and I'm looking at end play, I see he's by Kate Blanco, and he's out of a mare named Run Rosie, and she was by Cherokee Run. So you can go down here, and if I want to find horses that are just out of mares by Cherokee Run, and I'll hit search. So now we're looking at not the horse name or the sire or the dam, but the dam sire's Cherokee Run, and I hit start search. It found 10,000 horses. That's quite, over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of horses by dams out of Cherokee Run. So when wow, 10,000 horses, but you got to keep in mind that several of these horses have run multiple times. So you'll see the same horses appear over and over again. So you can get really, really detailed on sires, dams, dam sires, all that kind of stuff. If you're into the if you're actually in the horse business as an owner or a person that claims horses, this is a very useful tool. Let's say that let's look at yesterday's races. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to change the date range to date range. Let me clear all. I'm going to change it to yesterday. I'm going to search. I'm just looking at yesterday's results now. And let me find a horse that paid a lot, just for the heck of it. All right, so this race, Princess Aris, Aaris. I'll go find that horse. I hit search, and I see that the horse is by formal dancer, and the dam's name was Claws and Daggers. So if I go over here to the dam, I'll just put in Claws. Okay, I can find that there's two horses out there by Claws and Daggers. So this wasn't a great example, but you get the picture. And I'll change the date range to, let me go way back here and see if it finds both of those horses. It did. Found one of them. Anyway, if yeah, I found both of them. So you can go back and research and find siblings of a horse that won, and use that. Maybe you want to look into the future and see if next time a horse that's out of this mare is running, maybe I want to put in a claim. I want to follow this horse. Maybe this horse appears to be somebody with a big future. It just won a maiden special weight at Saratoga, and if there are any siblings out there, then I want to scoop them up. So you can use this tool to do a lot more than just handicap with. So that's kind of Angler in a nutshell. We are going to be doing a heck of a lot more work on this and bringing in a lot of these stats into the bird dog screen, and really looking forward to how you all use this and what kind of questions you have, and I'm sure you're going to have some really great suggestions for us on how you would like things to be built out. So can't wait for you all to start playing with it. It's out there today. At some point in the future, this is going to be part of BetMix Pro. But if you're currently a subscriber, don't worry about that. You're gonna always have access to this at your current subscription rate. So sometime in August, we're probably going to be upping that. So if you're thinking about coming on board with BetMix and want to use this tool, I encourage you to sign up soon so that you don't have to pay that extra rate. Appreciate it. Look forward to hearing your feedback, and best of luck.